Hi guys, it's me again. How is it hanging? Today's video is epic. Let's jump in and kick it. Let's get it on like Donkey Kong. Hey, did you know that a long time ago, like 130 million years ago, the Earth looked really different? There was only one big continent and lots of little ones all over the place. And on the big one, there was this empire called the Lantis Empire. They were super smart, and their science and technology were way better than ours now. They looked kinda like Arabs today, but they weren't really related. They had these cool clothes that were like robes, like what Arabs wear. There were like 30 million people there, and they had these machines that they could control with their thoughts. Can you imagine? They were so smart they could even travel to other planets. You can still find evidence of their travels in the Milky Way, but even though they were so advanced, they still got destroyed in the end. They were so strong that they could use nuclear weapons and beat any country that tried to fight them. They took over the whole world, and the countries that lost had to become part of the empire. But the problem was that they had lots of wars and used nuclear weapons too much, and that messed up the whole planet. The environment became really harsh, and there was radiation everywhere. Because of that, they had to live underground. The surface of the Earth was all messed up, and if you wanted to go there, you had to wear a special suit to protect yourself from radiation. They were really good at science though, and they could even make new species by changing their genes. But that messed up the balance of the world, which was made by God. For example, they could grow new arms and legs for people who lost them, and they could make people really smart or really strong. They could even put knowledge into a baby's brain when it was born. It would take about 15 to 30 years for this knowledge to develop in the brain, and it would eventually develop to the most advanced, unparalleled level of knowledge in that area. The people back then were super messed up, like the freaky stuff you see in Japan nowadays, or how things were in ancient Greece when they were all about doing whatever they wanted. The rich folks would use their fancy gene-changing technology to create beautiful singers and dancers for their own pleasure. These girls had to take special medicine and flower extracts from a young age so they would smell like flowers when they grew up. It was crazy. Now, when it came to fighting, they were the most advanced civilization ever. They had spaceships that ran on energy from tiny particles, and their metal was super strong and resistant to heat and rust. They could go anywhere in the Milky Way and no one was as good as them. They even wanted to rule the whole galaxy. After many years of fighting, they took over a third of the Milky Way. But they didn't do it alone. They teamed up with other planets who were just as advanced as they were. And when they went to these other planets, they would capture the aliens and use them as slaves. Some planets even had their people locked up in cages like they were at a zoo. It was so messed up. Oh, and get this. They were also making weapons out of genes. They would give drugs to guys and girls who could still have babies, and then change their genes to make them into different species. But after a few generations, those babies were all born messed up, and their whole race would go extinct. Can you believe it? They lived underground, and they had this big power station that supplied the whole nation. It had 7 branches, and was super important. Plus, they could do this crazy genetic stuff, and raise animals that could talk like humans. This lasted for thousands of years, but then it all got destroyed by these aliens from the Capricorn constellation. These aliens were super advanced and pretty scary looking, like part beast or something. They straight up blew up the power station and killed almost everyone. The continent turned into a wasteland, but a few weird plants and animals managed to survive. But some of the people from that time managed to survive. Some of them escaped before the big war and went to live on other planets. Others stayed and became part of other planets while the humans were trying to take over the whole Milky Way. Some of the humans went back to Earth to start new communities on the smaller continents. But they were never as awesome as before, and they all went downhill eventually. Some of the survivors made a home on Mars, living underground in a colony. They were descendants of the people from that civilization that got destroyed. So, you know what's crazy? Everything in this whole universe has a pattern. It starts off small, then gets bigger and bigger, until it hits its peak. But after that, it starts to go downhill, until it's at its lowest point. Then guess what? it starts all over again and gets bigger and bigger. It's like a cycle that never stops. But here's the bummer part. Everything eventually gets wrecked. Yup, nothing lasts forever. Not even in the human world. It's all gonna get destroyed someday. See you soon. I am out. Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee. No, not Bruce Lee, just watch me.